Hey, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Goon and Cock's Muscle Talk. Today, we're going to take a different approach so we can hammer out some of the technical issues that we had last week. So our plan was just doing a breakdown of some shows that have happened and are coming up. And then we have a bunch of questions that we put out from viewers on what they would like answered. So that's what we're going to go with today. Hey, Mike.
Perfect. Hey, Chris. Good to see you, bro. Yeah, we got some feedback last week from a few people. Technology probably isn't our forte at our age, but we're gonna get through it. Took the feedback, gonna make some adjustments and roll with it. Like you said, we got the contest season is starting finally. Thank God. We missed out on the Arnold. Sitting at home, that first weekend in March with nothing to do really sucked. But we're a couple weeks away from Indy. Got a good lineup. Got a partial list of who's going to be there. Go over that. Pittsburgh a little bit. Like you said, some good questions from the meatheads at the MD Forum. So if you're ready, man, let's get to it.
Okay, first off, this week, NFL draft this weekend. Dude, that's like another little tasty nugget for us, just to get things rolling.
30 million people watch that draft. That's how hungry this country is for football, that we'll watch these kids get drafted. And listen, man, I got a countdown on my calendar at work to college football season, pro football season. Draft, as you know, was in Cleveland, hometown. My dad gladly sent me some pictures as he was enjoying the festivities, rubbing it in. Some Browns, Bernie Kosar was there, Eric Metcalf. First pick, Trevor Lawrence. I'm an Ohio State guy. We kicked his ass this year. Quality quarterback, good quarterback. I'm thinking he may set that Peyton Manning record for most interceptions. There's no North Carolina in the NFL. This isn't the ACC. What I mean? All these guys run the 4-3, 4-4. So it's gonna be rough sled, man. And obviously, the Patriots did pretty well in the draft as well.
Yeah, dude, I was legitimately surprised that Mac Jones was there.
I thought he'd be gone. Listen, man, that kid, he lit us up. The part about that makes what this is so good for New England is he's not going to a bad team, right?
Right.
He can sit behind Cam, but if you draft a guy 15th, you're going to want him to play. So I expect a little controversy once Cam starts throwing interceptions and having those, 11 for 22 games with 200 yards, you're going to hear some clamoring for Mac Jones. But do you sit him because he's a rookie, or do you give him baptism by fire? That's the kind of, what you got to deal with.
With him, I'd rather see him come in week 6. Don't throw him in there week 1. Unless he's destroying it, because a rookie quarterback under the lights is a different story. Like you said, it's not as bad as it was 20 years ago when they would get their head taken off. But
right,
but it's beaten up.
It's like going from a local show to the pro league.
Yeah,
that's the kind of talent level you're dealing with. But it's funny that Nick Saban and Bill Belichick have such a connection that Belichick drafts all these Alabama guys. And listen, man, Alabama and Nick Saban, they're my next to Michigan. They're my mortal enemy. I can't deny that dude has a football factory in Tuscaloosa. You know what I mean? It's the talent level from him to where we are at Ohio State, or where Georgia's at, or even where Clemson's at. We're playing catch up. You know what I mean? And you got Belichick spending money like he's never spent money before. And if I'm not mistaken, Tampa plays New England this year. I'm not sure if it's going to be in Foxborough or down here. But I'm thinking it may be on Monday Night Football, and I may just have to take the day off of work that Tuesday just to be able to stay up and watch that game, because that's just going to be fantastic.
I honestly hope it's here, because the governor put out a forecast how things are supposed to break down according to vaccine levels. Yeah. So there will be fans if it's in New England. Not a packed house. Whereas Tampa doesn't have the history. Whereas New England fans, I'm more curious how New England fans are going to react to Brady than I am how Tampa fans are going to react to the Patriots.
Now, are you going to boo him, or do you think you're going to boo him or cheer him?
Cheer him. Dude, if you can't cheer Tom Brady for what he did here, you're an asshole.
true. Dude, listen, man. I even was cheering for the man at the Super Bowl. Like I honestly, all the years of hating Brady, but you can't deny that this dude, he's probably the best. I thought Jim Brown was the best ever. Tom Brady is the best football player in the history of this league. Even if you can't stand the man, you can't deny what he's done. It's something that in our lifetime, dude, we'll never ever see again.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this as, Patriots guy. I never liked Brady personally after like 06, 07.
It's amazing when you're thinking that far back to how many guys aren't even in the league anymore that played or that were drafted in 06 or 07. So we got, what is this, May? Mini camp starting soon, then training camp, and then it'll be here before you know it, bro.
Oh, and here's an interesting little piece of news. Sorry, people, we're talking about the NFL. And if you like bodybuilding, you should like football because it's, it's the same kind of deal here. Brady put out, what's his name? I want to call him Edelman.
Yeah.
He said Edelman's retiring because he doesn't want to tell Belichick that he's coming to Tampa. And I was thinking about that. And I said, okay. And then it dawned on me. Edelman's had some injuries. And he's already been popped for PED, so he can get tested at any time.
Yeah.
He retires. He can do what he needs to do and pop in the last week of camp and have a month to clean out, a month to heal up real nice, grow a little bit.
It's going to be very interesting. People down here, I think, I don't think they have a passion for football because there's so many different transplants here.
Yeah.
It's not, listen, when I think about the Cavs winning the championship, I could cheer up. I don't know anybody that cheered up when Tampa won the Super Bowl. It's not that same kind of live or die, by every Sunday. You know what I mean? So it's a different vibe down here. But like I said, Tampa's loaded again. Everybody's back. But the hardest thing to do is to repeat, not only in football, but in bodybuilding. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out this year. Dude, I can't wait. So that's that. May 8th, 2021. First IFBB show of the season.
Okay, we have to give respect to the Pittsburgh Pearl this week.
Yes.
Big show. It just didn't have open or 212. But it was the opening of Wellness, a long-awaited debut of Wellness, the IFBB Pro League. And the winner was Angela, followed by number 2, Yarishna, who right now are the 1A and 1B of the sport, it seems like. And number 3 was Amanda.
These girls, man, I was just looking at the pictures. They both have actually a decent amount of muscle in their lower body. It's not like it's just all ass.
Yeah.
There's some quad muscle there. So that's the difference between wellness and bikini. Yes, the glutes are more of a focus, but these girls have developed legs, developed quads. So I know we were talking earlier about some, so hopefully there's not a lot of funny business going on in the glutes. Yeah. They're kind of, talk about. But I think the judges have a responsibility to work. If they see that, to mark that down. That way the trend doesn't go that way as far as the enhanced glutes. But, you can't go wrong. But like I said, with those are 1A and 1B. And I think come October, those will probably be the top 2 at the O, unless there's a WPD former champion in the lineup that may be in the lineup, that may not be in the lineup. If she is, it'll just add even more excitement to the Olympia this fall.
Yeah, and I have no doubt she is just such a genetic freak.
It's we have someone that's that good. We talk about Shanique Grant. We have someone that's that good. Like we mentioned before, I think she's a generational athlete. You can't, that structure, the shape. She's a very pretty girl that all flows together. I think in this division, maybe she didn't want to push herself. What some people you have to do in other divisions. I can respect that. Especially as a 47-year-old man. You kind of, your health is first. But like I said, she may throw a monkey wrench in all of this. So we'll see what happens.
And we had figure last night, which is always, a favorite of ours. Maria Diaz 1, Christine Stearns 2, and one of our favorites, Heather These 3.
And Heather was gone for a little while too, I believe. Came back, do the show. 3rd place, great show. The Pittsburgh is a huge show. You know what I mean? I know, especially now with social media, it's huge, but that Pittsburgh show, being in Cleveland, that was the one show that we travel to see. So it's the Boston show, Mr. Mannion show. Yeah. So you know it's gonna be good. But again, congrats to Maria. She looked fantastic. And like I said, these figure girls, one of my favorite divisions. They bring the conditioning, they bring the shape. And you can't deny how these girls bust their ass every day.
And bikini, Ashley took number 1. And we're big Ashley fans, not just for her as a competitor, but I love her social media persona. You know, her videos, she's just different. She's like her own person, and it's just refreshing.
She doesn't take herself too seriously. Like she can laugh at herself, but she's got a phenomenal physique. I know, she kind of dipped in the places for a little while, came back. It'd be interesting to see, her, I guess, Janet, Jennifer Dory, and the rest of the girls. It'll be interesting to see. I'm assuming she's going to do New York since it's only a couple weeks away.
This was already this was her 3rd show, so
it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of competing. But again, New York Pro, man. That's a nice title to have under your belt. So we'll see if Ashley continues on. But again, we'll see her again. She punched her ticket, man. She's ready to go to the O.
Yep. Elisa number 2, Lauren Miller number 3.
Yes.
And Lauren already has the win this year. She actually beat Ashley a couple weeks ago in Orlando.
Yeah.
And then what we had an interesting night with men's physique. Kieran Holden came out number 1. He's extremely thick. He's a well-muscled MPD guy.
He's bubbly. He's got that round muscle bellies. Listen, you got to be good to beat Raymond. That's just a fact.
He beat Raymond. I mean, Raymond's a former Olympia champion.
Yeah. It's funny, man. This is his 2nd loss. Lost at the O, and then lost here again. It's not through any fault of his own. The dude's got a phenomenal physique. It's great. I'm not too sure how they judge this. I know these men's physique guys get peeled. They get peeled, and they're big dudes now. I think there's some guys in this class that could potentially move up to classic physique. Because you see some of those guys are busting out of their board shorts, man. They're just a natural progression, I think. And I think when you don't want to limit the sport's bodybuilding, no matter what division, it's bodybuilding. Get bigger, improve every year. And I think some of these guys, may have to make that leap, to a different division, instead of being stuck. And listen, these guys work hard, diet just as hard as we do, bodybuilders do. Might as well, move up and show it.
Well, I think something else has happened in the transition with men's physique recently. Guys have figured out that if they have a quad sweep and glutes, it's going to add to their X frame from in front and behind.
Yeah.
It's going to make their weight that much smaller than just. So
they're wide, big delts. I'm pretty. It was a very impressive class, and I was impressed back at the O with these guys too. So, props to them.
And then we had classic. Last but not least, Divine Wilson takes it. No real surprise. Divine does a lot of shows. He's a very good physique. He's a stalwart.
Divine competes a lot. But listen, if you're in shape, why not, man? That's what the sport's about. Sometimes the judges see your face. Do a show, eat a meal, continue diet. You're already in shape. Like I said, New York's. I'm not sure if they have a classic at Indy or not. I'm not quite sure about that.
No, Indy's just men's and open in 212.
Okay, so I'm sure we'll see Divine in New York coming up in a couple of weeks. So I look for him. This win here kind of propels him, to one of the favorites heading into the New York Pro.
And Favors came in 2nd, and Dimitri came in 3rd.
Yeah, good class. It's a good class. These guys, again, I'm kind of a convert to classic, man. When it first started, I wasn't that excited, but after seeing these guys year after year and the condition they come in, it's a great class. And there's some phenomenal physiques on here, like some amazing shapely physique. And what I love is they come in peeled. They come in that like old school 1993 condition, man, where they're dug out, not as round or as full as bodybuilders are, but I like that condition. Condition, that's what bodybuilding's about. It's about, in my opinion, condition. And these guys bring the condition to every show.
Yeah, it's impressive, you know, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see conditioning being reeled back in.
Yeah.
Because for a few years, especially like in the open, you know.
And again, that's nothing to take away from the open bodybuilders of this right now. I'm not trying to digress too much, but you know, when you see an open guy that's crazy peeled, it's just something to see, right? And with the classic guys, with Bumstead and Breon and Terrence and Divine, the class, Brian Jones, the class is in very good hands. That dude, listen, not to digress again, but that dude, I want him next to Bumstead this year. I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that. But I think Chris is a different beast, man. That dude's just
the amount that he improved between 19 and 20 was astounding. You know, in the little differences, just thickness here, a little bit there, like
everything, man. I've been watching a lot of his videos past couple of days, and the dude he busts ass, and I didn't really appreciate how good he truly looked when I saw him, because you see him really quick. You know, they're out there fast, but when I was watching that video, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this dude, he was dug out, inside out, peeled, right, and just phenomenal competitor.
What I actually think upped a lot of people's opinion of Classic, besides Bombside coming in better, was the pictures in the little video thing he did with Rami after the Olympia.
Yeah.
Rami's the biggest man, basically the biggest man in the sport. He's the big Joe. And you have the Classic champ next to him, and Chris doesn't look small.
No, he's not a small guy,
man.
Man.
You know, it's
the meathead in me says, man, I'd love to see him as an open, but he looks so good as a Classic competitor. You don't want him to ruin those lines and get all bulked out. You know what I mean? And the way he presents himself, he's going to be fully entrenched in this division and hold this title. He may do some Flex Lewis type stuff where he 6-7 wins. And he's a kid, dude. He's a kid. You know what I mean? I have T-shirts his age.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the sky's the limit for him. And good support system with Ian, his sister, his girlfriend. So that's he's in a good place, man. It's good to see a good guy like that do well in sport, you know?
I have muscle tears older than him.
Yeah. Right? Exactly. Okay,
on to the future. This weekend, Indy Pro.
Can't wait, man. It's going to be a good show. I know Ron did an interview with the promoter of the show as well. It's going to be live streamed as well. $19.99. That's a deal,
dude. That's a deal. I mean, just letting people know, I don't want to pay $20. An extra value meal at McDonald's, which you shouldn't be buying anyway, is like $11 now.
Exactly, it is.
Dude, $11 for dirt ass hamburger. Sorry, we ain't going to be getting McDonald's as a sponsor, but you know, and 22 cents worth of soda in a giant cup full of ice.
Thank you.
You know,
it's good that we support the sport. You know, like we always would complain, oh, we don't, when the results coming in. Like, listen, we had magazines back in the day. We had to wait 3 months. So I'd gladly pay $20, even $30 for a live stream of the show, man. Just especially this year because it's been so long, right? And just look at the competitor list, even at the 212 in the open, it's going to be a good show. There are a few favorites, but like I said, bodybuilding, you never know. You know, Instagram and Facebook pictures don't always equate to Saturday morning under the lights being compared. So 212 looks about 12 guys or so. Just looking off the competitor list right now, you've got Derek Oslin, Justin Randall, Thomas Lenahan, and Samir Trouty, who just based on the list, those may be the top 4 in the show. Now, we've seen pictures of all those guys, leading up to the show. Thomas is peeled. John Hewitt, I didn't see on the list, but I think he's doing the show. I think Christian, he might be doing the show, but he's peeled. Derek Oslin's got crazy shape. He's bigger. We had him on last week. He's in a great place mentally. And Samir Trouty could listen. Samir is in shape 100%. He could easily win the show.
Yeah,
you know,
Samir's in. He's dangerous.
Yeah, he's supposed on MD as well coming up. I remember him on Ron's thread. Really nice of him. We follow his journey. But I think the dark horse that we really did out for is Justin Randall. I actually had to chat with him back last year. Great kid. He's so dense. When I saw him compete last year, I think I texted you and said, I didn't realize how big this kid was. How hard he gets. He gets that grainy condition, and he's a workhorse, man. The dude works hard, lifts heavy. So any one of those guys, I feel, can, again, who shows up on stage, but just based on some pictures, John Jewett looks like he's really fixed the issues he had at the Olympia. He wasn't super off at the O. He wasn't. No, not at all. It's just that 212 Olympia was insane. Jewett placed top 5 in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
So coming back, this year, off year 2020, but a lot of people did, man. The pandemic affected.
Yeah, dude, and you just can't. Depends on where you lived, how many months you lost.
Exactly. In Florida, there's no such thing as Corona.
Right. And, up here, California, it was difficult.
Yeah, it's very. And listen, some pros have places to train, some didn't. Yeah. And just that's their livelihood. This is a lot of times this is their job. So not training or missing meals with just the craziness. I know people got the corona last year, coronavirus, got sick. So it threw a monkey wrench into just about everybody's plans. But I think this year, things are starting to open back up. If I had to go out on the limb, I think if Derek Oslin's, peeled,
Derek wins.
You can't beat that when you have that kind of condition and his shape. And we mentioned him, his posing is so spot on, so flawless. Not just his routine, but the compulsories, how he hits them, how he holds them. And the man has got phenomenal stage presence, but I think a lot of people don't notice. He doesn't falter. Steve works these guys and works these guys and works these guys. So all of his, practice and, posing comes in handy, but it's hard to predict who's going to win. I'm going to go with Derek for the win. Tampa guy, local guy, but I want to see him do well and be 100%. I want to see 100% Oslin at the O competing next to George, next to Clarita, just to see how he does in that group.
He's the next generation who's coming up. And speaking of that, but once again, Justin Randall's that next gen.
The 212 division is in really good hands. Yeah. Flex is gone. So they kind of left a little void. But with Justin, Derek Oslin, Samir Trouty, these guys will start to improve. Now for the Open, the big boys, it's a hell of a lineup. We got Justin Rodriguez, obviously, Sean Smith, who's looking absolutely crazy, Dwayne Walker, Stephen Frazier making a longer way to come back. I haven't seen his name in quite some time. Dorian Haywood, who else? Morgan Ass. Now, I didn't meet Blessing as well, and Nick Walker. Now, Nick's not on the list, just Blessing is, but from what I've heard, Nick's doing the show. So let's get into this, man. Who do you think is kind of maybe the favorite going into the Open class?
Well, if you're under 25 years old, Nick Walker can do no wrong, and he's better than Rami. If you live in the land of the sane, and I've seen some bodybuilding shows, it's Justin.
I think we've talked before about Justin and that we were waiting for him to get all together, which he did last year. Chicago, I thought personally in New York, it was between him and Ian. Ian, Justin, and John, you could have all flip-flop, right?
Yeah.
Justin kind of had to make some ground up because I think he may have been overlooked prejudging. But when he nailed it in Chicago, it was beautiful. He was full. He was granted hard. What gets me is how full he is and how tight his waist is.
Yeah. Brian Buchanan, man.
Yes, like very Brian Buchanan-ish. I know AJ mentioned that he talked to his trainer and it says just water, which I'm sure these guys hold a lot of water. They dial it in pretty quick. But I think if Justin's 100%, 10th place, he was 10th place at the Olympics, so he should be the odds-on favorite going in. If he's on, I think he'll do very well. Now let's get to Blessing and Nick, the Kamali, the Kamali, Melvin of this generation, so to speak. What do you think about the trash talk that's going on between those?
I like it. Giles Thomas so graciously had us on Global Muscle this week.
Yes.
And thank you, Giles.
Yes.
Giles is a Brit, stiff upper lip, respectable people. We're not. We're Americans. We grew up in pro wrestling, NFL. I like trash talk, man. It's
when Kamali and Melvin and Chris were doing their thing and got Sean Ray in there because King went out after him as well. That was entertaining. Every month we waited to read Hard Times to see what those guys told Peter McGuff. And it was and Kamali backed it up at the Ironman and a week later at the Olympia, right? Now, Blessing, just from some of the videos I've seen, he's got a hell of a physique. I don't know what his wheels look like, but his upper body is so round, his obliques are in. But again, we got to know what the entire body looks like. Nick has shown he's very active on social media. He's showed his physique. He's been ready for God knows how long. But he gets better and better and better. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't drinking the Nick Kool-Aid, after he turned pro. But that Chicago show, man, he showed me something. He's got muscle at that young age to stand next to big guys already. So he's got the size, right? It's just that old man muscle's got to come. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's gonna be a while, but
right. Yeah, that's not that's gonna take a minute. But I think the fans, we all want to see, Blessing versus Nick. Side to side. Those two.
They have to be in a call out, like right next to each other.
Like we mentioned earlier, Kamali and Titus down in Australia that one year. Even the guys in the back of the lineup were loving it.
Yeah.
So I think I like trash talk, man. It makes it exciting. It makes it interesting. It gives us something to look forward to. Yes, we want to see the physiques. We love bodybuilding, but a side note to a show is phenomenal. You can't.
A little personal battle.
Yeah, exactly, man. And then we also got Sean Smith, who I forget. Is he working with? I forgot who he's working with. I want to say Ian's trainer.
Yeah.
So I forgot. I'm drawing a blank right now. Patrick Tour. He's working with Pat. I believe with Patrick. And Sean he again another guy that when he turned pro, he had pro muscle. He had professional level muscle. So he looks really good. It's just like I said, they have the show and really get a good look.
I mean, especially if Hassan shows up.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna have those four who are gonna be getting the look.
Right. And he said Sean, I think he was over his last. I think he did Tampa a couple of years ago, and I felt he was totally overlooked, like insanely overlooked. He looked great, good condition, but I think he's taking his condition to another level. And he said he's a big dude. You can't. It's a muscle show. It's a muscle show. So if it's a muscle show, then we all want to see Morgan. Like that's what we want to see. That's the great white whale we want to look at, because what he showed us the Arnold last year, speechless, dude. Absolutely speechless. Dug out, inside out. What do you think about if Morgan maybe getting top 3? You think that would be possible?
It really, if Morgan comes with that level of conditioning again, which I believe he will, because we know he's capable of it mentally. And yeah, he deserves it. He might not be the prettiest physique out there, but just on the fact of just conditioning, amount of muscle.
To look like that, you have to suffer. There's no magic potion, magic formula. You got to suffer. You know what I'm saying?
And tall guy has decent structure.
Yeah.
Like his hips aren't extreme. Tall guys tend to have wider hips to balance the.
But he doesn't. He's not Greg Kovacs. So I hope they don't kind of think just put him in a category of just a big freak. Because you say he does have, his shape isn't bad. His back's phenomenal. His side chest is good. You got to reward condition. I think you have to reward someone that comes in that freaky, and it's a muscle show again. It's a muscle show. I'm willing to bet he's the hardest guy on stage.
I am too. And the thing is, if I was, some of these guys who are we're talking about the top four, I wouldn't want to work against Morgan.
No.
Because one thing is, if your condition's off and you're standing next to a guy who's skinless,
yeah,
it's noticeable.
It is very noticeable. It's very noticeable. And one guy I do want to mention that was very impressive last year was Dorian Haywood. He's uber thick, man. Uber thick, uber round. He's kind of like, he's good, but the judges maybe did not give him the good look he needs. But he looked phenomenal. Even, about 6 weeks out, pictures up, he looked absolutely insane. So he's going to be big. I think last year him doing so well, he's on the mind of the judges now. I think he, again, in condition, he can upset some of these guys. But again, it comes down to who's in shape that day. We all make predictions based on everybody being 100%, but we know damn well peaking for a bodybuilding show is as hard as hitting a 90-mile-an-hour slider. So it's whoever nails it on that day, but that exact moment, you can have 12 weeks worth of work just go down the drain in 24 hours. So again, it'll be a 1995 live stream, May 8th. Support the sport, people.
Do it.
Appreciate what we got because we didn't have a lot of it last year. So shell up to $20, enjoy it. Nice Saturday, get your popcorn ready.
Exactly. You're going to be spending that on a pay-per-view movie anyway. It's all the decent movies are $12-15, so you might as well get a show.
Exactly. Get the show, do your cardio, watch prejudging, go train, get some motivation. Boom, there you go.
Yeah, full day of it.
Perfect.
Okay. So we're going to do another segment right now. We put some questions out on the MD forums to ask the forum members because that's where Mike and I basically made our start in the world. And we're forum guys, we're fanboys. So we threw it out there. We actually got a pretty good response. And the first question that we're going to go for is, what brought us into bodybuilding?
All right. Okay, so growing up, man, we in the 80s, I was born in 73, so we're up in the 80s. We had real action heroes, jacked, like Arnold, Stallone. Our He-Man toys had the big traps. Skeletor had that small waist. But I did a science fair project in 7th grade. And my friend at the time, his dad had some old Muscle Fitness, right? He had a weight bench too. So like any 7th grader, we plagiarized from the encyclopedia. And we cut pictures out from Muscle and Fitness. And I remember it had the 85 Olympian, and I was just in awe. I remember specifically Rich Kaspari, his condition, the vein. It was like back then we wanted to be big, right? We all wanted to be jacked. You didn't want to have a bird chest, but he had all these veins, and it just intrigued me. So at that point, I started every time I go over his house, reading a little bit more, started borrowing the magazines. Convinced my parents to give me a weight set, but I never had any intentions on competing. And then I saw Sean Ray in Flex winning the Cal. Flat top like me, short like me. And that was, as anybody knows, Sean Ray was the guy that introduced me to the sport. And luckily for me, living in Cleveland, Columbus was 2 hours away. So I saw an ad for the Arnold Classic. It was fall, December of '88. My parents said they'd take me, and the very first bodybuilding show I ever saw was the '89 Arnold Classic. Gaspari, Stridham, Berto Fox, Bob Paris, who had probably the greatest pose we could have ever seen. When I saw that show, I'm like, this is it. I'm done. I'm competing. I stopped playing sports, you know, doing football, basketball, baseball, stopped all of that. And 6 months later, I did the Teen Mr. Cleveland, took fourth, copied Phil Hill's 88 Phantom of the Opera routine, but I used Al B. Sure's Killing Me Softly to pose to. Thought I was a big pimp. But from that moment, Chris, man, it snowballed for me, dude. You know, college in Toledo, great bodybuilding community. Jim Momney with IRP Pro really was a big influence on me. Helped me with the 96 Ohio. My best friend moved to Columbus, so that's how the Columbus connection to be started. Some of the greatest times of my life in every Arnold from 89 to 06. And it just snowballed. You know, the competing, I think as a team, I competed way too much. I do 3 shows a year usually. It's different when you're not paying for it. So you can do that. But it just snowballed, dude. And that love for the sport, man, I was obsessed. You know what I mean? Like, I know you've seen the 88 Olympia, and that's probably one that I think most of guys our age have watched hundreds of times. So whenever I hear that U2 song, I think of Bury the Maid.
I'm just thinking that, like we psychically connected, you know.
Right. You hear Tracy Chapman, I think of Bob Paris or Phantom of the Opera, Phil Hill. But it's just, you know, we all have a story. We all have a story on how we found this and how we stuck with it, because so many guys, dude, don't compete anymore, train. So that's my foray. So what about you, dude? How do you find this crazy stuff?
Well, first off, I was thinking about this a lot, and I was like, first off, definitely action movies. And one of them I have to throw out there because it was on TV all the time. And it's a guy you don't necessarily think of as a physique guy, Mark Singer in The Beastmaster.
Oh my God! Holy flashback! Wow, I remember that.
Dude, he wasn't bodybuilder big, but for the era, he was pretty jacked.
That wow, you took me back.
Dude, it was on like every day on TBS for a period of time. And then I would say a big influence of mine was pro wrestling.
Oh, yes.
I mean, right about the time I hit 12 years old, we got cable. So Saturday mornings, I had AWA, Texas Wrestling, then WWF, WWE.
Von Erich's, Kerry Von Erich.
Then Saturday nights, we had TNT Wrestling, TBS Wrestling, which was, you know, WCW. And it was in that tiny little arena with the, you know, with the little ring.
Gordon Soley.
Yep. And there was some great physiques. Jimmy Snuka, Kerry Von Erich, Paul Orndorff,
Legion of Doom.
Hogan. Yeah, but those are the guys who did it for me.
Yeah.
It was the Legion of Doom. I don't know if it was because they were always on the TBS Wrestling, and it was a tiny little room, so they even appeared bigger than being in an auditorium.
Yeah.
But they looked like big guys who could fuck you up. You know, as opposed to...
They were jacked, man. They would beat the crap out of it. Yeah.
And their wrestling style was just clotheslines, elbows, punches, and body slams. It was like, we're just big, jacked, and we're going to kick the shit out of you. And like, I bought the Sears weight set, started doing that stuff. And then at a certain point, I started playing football, and I was like, okay, I got to get bigger for football. And we had a community gym like 3 blocks from my house, and that was huge for me. There were older guys in there, and you know, like it wasn't that great. It was like a 4x4 squat rack, you know, a step squat rack, a couple of universal machines, a bench and incline, you know, a T-bar shoved into the wall. Like it was, you know, old school dumbbells. And, you know, I was afraid I would just use the universal and some dumbbells. And I'm like, I got to figure this out. So I got bodybuilding now. I got some money, and I bought Muscle and Fitness and Muscle Mag, sorry, MD. That's what they had at the store, and I could like study them. I can remember being so impressed by Lee Hain.
Yeah.
Like in the mags, I was just like he was the first one that just like, I'd seen Arnold, but like I'd never really like looked at the mags and I was like seeing every, you know, like seeing the tricep head, seeing this, seeing that, him barefoot on the bench doing rows, you know, like
bent over flat.
Yeah, bent over flat. And that's actually the best way to do a bent over row.
Yes.
Dude, I've come completely around on that, but I digress. And then I think the first bodybuilder I truly connected with was Barry DeMay, because he was taller, I'm tall. And then just hanging out with older guys back then, when you know, you put your weights back, you did this, you did that. It was a different era. So that's what got me into it.
Perfect. What we got next, bro?
Well, we kind of both answered the first bodybuilder to inspire us.
Okay. Yeah.
So, who are your top 5 bodybuilders of all time?
I got, like, for my area, I gotta say Lee Haney, number 1, because he's just, in my opinion, he's the greatest of all time. Ronnie Coleman, obviously. Flex Wheeler, who I think has the greatest physique I've ever seen in my entire life. Sean Ray, and you got to put, I think, Sergio, because I think Sergio or Phil, okay? Sergio, because he worked as a butcher, right? He was very unconventional, but he developed that physique at a time where there wasn't a lot of nutrition advice, wasn't a lot of chemical advice. I think he may be the most genetically gifted bodybuilder ever. And I put / Phil Heath because Phil, I don't care what people say about his personality. Doesn't matter. You've never broken bread with the man. You can't say he's an ass. Yep. Physique-wise, that 2011 look is on par with, some of the great physiques of all time, like Flex at 93, Dorian, 93. He has his own category. So, but those guys, man, I just think are the epitome of our sport. You know what I mean? Who you got?
Haney. Not just us. And I also look back, Haney retired at the age Ronnie Coleman won his first Mr. Olympia. So, let's put that into perspective. Yeah. He was in his 20s when he did this, which is so impressive.
Yeah.
Ronnie, number 2. I mean, Ronnie's up there, and it's, if you pick Ronnie, I could see it. I'm not going to. And then, I too was thinking Sergio, just because of the freak factor. And he kind of brought bodybuilding into more of a modern era from the Dark Ages Beach Boys.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go Sean Ray for my number 4, just on the fact that, and this is tough picking him over Phil, but Sean was just so consistent, so good in an era of great bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And then 5, I'm going Dorian, just on the fact that Dorian brought in a new era.
Yeah.
Dorian brought in freaky mass and freaky conditioning. Dorian just slammed through in 92. He had already won one. Yeah. But 90, was it 90? No, it was 90.
93, that was that whole holy shit.
Yeah, the old shit. 93, he brought in a complete new era of bodybuilding. And if you wanted to
change the
game.
He literally changed the sport.
Okay, so the next question from the mayor of bodybuilding, famous schmo and van driver, is who's your favorite female bodybuilder?
I'd have to say Linda Murray, just because how she carried herself. Her physique was phenomenal. And to this day, she's still involved in the sport. I mean, I saw her guest pose in 1990 in Louisville at my show, 4 months before she won the O. And you knew then she was going to be something special because her taper, her width. But Linda, to me, has always been the greatest. Iris won more shows and probably was more physically impressive. But to me, man, Linda just epitomized Miss Olympia. When you think Miss Olympia, you think Linda Murray. Close second is Corey. Obviously, we came up with Corey. Body shaping with Corey was a staple of our teenage years. We were either Team Kiana or Team Corey. I was Team Corey. But, Linda Murray, man.
I was thinking this through, and Linda's the queen.
Yeah. Yeah.
For all the reasons you said. And a close number 2 would be just from my boyhood crushes would be Anya Langer. That was just,
big calves, tiny waist.
Yeah. Just,
Yeah. 16-year-old us.
Yeah, exactly. So now a good friend of ours, George UK, George from London, but he's Scottish. I'm important to have to throw that in there. He asked, will Nick Walker make the Olympics?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say Nick will make it to the Olympia. I think Nick he'll be pushing for a top 10 spot. The kid, he lives bodybuilding. He eats, sleeps, lives bodybuilding. Again, now, if he doesn't win, either the Indy or New York, now will he go to Tampa? Arnold Classic is coming up. It depends on how the point system works out. But if I had to say if I was betting man, I would say yes, Nick this year he will make the Olympia stage.
I'm gonna agree. If Nick doesn't win a show this year, he'll do it on points.
Yeah.
The Pro, NY Pro is a higher level show, so it has more points. So third, New York really helps. He'll do whatever he does here. I'm just saying, if he doesn't win a show, yeah, right. he's in there.
Yep.
Then George also breaks down is if you had the money to open the gym you would like to, what would you do? Size, equipment, rules, decor.
The perfect gym for me, honestly, is part of a big powerhouse in Tampa. It's a combination of hardcore meathead. What I would do is I'd have something like that similar, but a lot of arsenal equipment. I'd have a special room just for legs, leg equipment. Sprinkle a little bit of free weights. Because listen, man, the days of that hardcore meathead gym that we grew up with, it's not around too much. But I'd always wanted to open a gym, but financially, it's not a good investment. But a little bit of hardcore. I think the arsenal equipment's great. I would have the old Flex and Icarian and some of those very old original Nautilus equipment, like the Nautilus barbell curl, the Nautilus rear delt machine. Just something to where you can attract the meathead, but also the mom. You know what I mean? Just that's your core, right? But I think having a gym like with just decked out tons of equipment, 150-pound dumbbells, it would be a dream come true, man. Like I said, that powerhouse in Tampa, I'd have like they do. They got the Olympia loop playing, 88 Olympia playing, or Ronnie Coleman's video, or the Battle for the Olympia, nonstop. That was John Hanson's idea actually too. But that kind of gym, man, would just you walk in there and you're like you're ready to train. They got a section for like turf for the football agility stuff, some CrossFit stuff, and that's the one gym I've gone to down in Florida where people train. There's nobody on their phone. There's nobody like they're training. Even the girls, man, bust ass there. Aaron Stern trains there, Lunsford every now and then. But that's the kind of gym like I would love to have.
Now, for me, it wouldn't be all that much different. As far as equipment, I'd probably have all the new arsenal stuff. I would have hammer pieces. There are hammer pieces that I personally love. And if I'm going to be training in a gym for the rest of my life, like I want the hammer wide bench press, the hammer decline. I actually like the hammer leg press. The plate, that one. And speaking of leg presses, like there's various leg presses that I would have to have.
Yeah.
Like I'd want a Nebula leg press. I'd want that Cybex leg press, where the weights are at the bottom and it's so smooth.
Oh yeah. We got one of those.
Yeah. I'd also like either an Atlantic or Nebula hack squat machine.
Yeah.
Being a taller guy, I like the bigger front plate so I can so it doesn't break my knees.
Well, you forget like there's guys that are taller than 5'6" that train.
Yeah. I would definitely need an Icarian, the standing side lateral machine, with the handles.
Yeah, those are badass.
And I'm kind of particular about Smith machines. Like I love the Icarian or the Flex, straight up and down.
Yes.
I don't like any angle on Smith machines, and I like a thin bar. I don't like, one of the common ones that are out there now. I'm going to say it, Life Fitness. I hate that. It's a super thick bar. It's an awkward angle.
Yep. And a lot of them are angle now too. That angle, I hate that angle, bro. It's awful.
The reason why I'm doing a Smith machine is because I want it in a plane of movement.
Thank you. Straight up and down. It's not rocket science.
Exactly.
I think a lot of stuff now, though, the newer equipment, it kind of does a lot of the work for you. It's not like, like that. Like I said, those like Icarian and Flex equipment, it worked. You did the work, right? A lot of new stuff now, man, it's not the same. It's really not. I mean, maybe we sound like grumpy old man, but screw it. But it's just not the same equipment as it was back in the day. But I get it. It's got to be pretty. It's got to, it's got to attract that crowd. But
I would have the place is going to be spotless.
Yes.
I believe in and there's rules. Put your weights away. And that doesn't just mean your dumbbells. That means the 10s go where the 10s go, the 25s go where the 25s go. and the wheels go where the wheels go.
Yeah, it's simple.
You
It's
know,
really simple.
one warning. You got one warning on leaving shit. Boom.
Done, son.
Full refund. Here's cash. Boom. Go on. See ya. You're out. And that's gonna be in the contract. Like this is what will happen. Everyone's gonna be told that this is what will happen. So there's no like you hate. No, this is
Exactly.
Because that leads to anarchy, and I also think that kind of shit dissuades women. Women don't like going over to drop out with 4 plates on. If you can pick up 4 plates, you can put them freaking back.
Exactly. And it's just nowadays, man. It's all about the bottom line. Hardcore gyms are few and far between. It's just the world we're living on, dude.
And as far as decor, because everyone's painting all their equipment like unicolor, I'd probably go black with royal blue upholstery just to be different, because everyone does black and red.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd go scarlet and gray, and it's no Michigan colors. Sorry, Derek Johnson, but
I can understand that. Never asks, do we always have the motivation, or is it just because we've been doing it for so long, it's just habit?
No, I don't. Some days I don't have motivation. Not. It's just that's just human nature, man. It's just life happens. It's different when you're 25, don't have responsibility, or if I'm sitting there bouncing, or or working at a gym behind the counter. Now you got work, family. So some days I truly lack motivation. What I did, what helped now, I started training at 5 in the morning because I was having trouble just being so tired after work, trying to slam a pre-workout drink, go train, get home like at 8, try to get a meal in, try to calm down. So, it would help. What helps me now motivating is getting up early, going to the gym at about 5 a.m., eat a quick meal, be there at 5. Me and my wife bust our ass to the gym, come home, eat, shower, go to work. But motivate is hard, man. Even after 30, especially after like 30 plus years, it's not the same as when you're 25, man. You're just going in there throwing a bunch of weight around. You wake up, okay, my elbow hurts this time, my back's killing me, I didn't sleep good. It's just whatever it is, but you can't have excuses. But once you get there, right? The key is get there. Like once I get there, you're good. You're good. It's just some days you don't have it. Some days your body's tired. You know what I mean? So I kind of listen to my body a lot more now. Because listen, we're one injury away from being done, bro. Like we're literally a serious injury, and it's a wrap. So that's just for me. How do you feel about that? Motivated?
I've had some motivation issues over the last year. Came off a pretty big elbow injury. Where I couldn't even do push-ups, during the lockdown. And that fucked me up, bro. Like mentally, I went off everything, which wasn't smart. So I got all kinds of depressed.
Yeah. I think the mental aspect of it, I think too, is just like depression happens. Like the lockdown, I was miserable. Just absolutely everything was closed. You start seeing yourself shrink. It's great. I didn't have any equipment. I had a treadmill. You start off, but that whole thing, man, just something. It's hard. Your mental health, it affects it. Like you're really affected by it, and that affects your training. Just even everyday stress affects your mindset, or if you get in an argument with your significant other, or it all plays into that motivation for the gym. God bless. Listen, those pro guys are where they can eat, sleep, train, block all that out. That's special. They're very, very special to do that because it's hard, and we're human. You know what I mean? So it happens to everybody. It's just one of those things in life to where some days you got it, some days you don't.
Yeah, and then for me, I started getting going. Then in the fall, like early September, I was training with a younger guy, 25, competitor, and we were doing single leg extensions. And I couldn't even move it with my right leg.
Wow.
It wouldn't even move after I just done. It was like the first set after I had done 15 with my left, pretty easy. And then I went to stand up, and my foot was sideways, pointing towards my left foot. So I had to get knee surgery. So it was kind of like, you know what I mean? And you're waiting for knee surgery, and you can barely walk. So that limits like what you can do for your back. you're on crutches. It can crutching over. I'm not saying you get it done, but you find other ways to get it done. Like you may not be, when you can't stand up, you may not be doing dumbbell side laterals or bent over rows, or, you're doing more hammer stuff, taking more times between sets because it takes that long to load plates,
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a mental game, but I was still getting in there. And that's what's, like you said, you get yourself there, you get there.
You do. You're good. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. But when you're not 100%, you're definitely not chomping on the bit to go in.
You're dreading it because you know it's going to hurt.
Okay, so now we have another football question from one tackle. This is interesting because obviously I'm in the Boston area. You're in Tampa. How do you feel about Brady going to? We addressed a lot of the Brady stuff earlier. How do you feel about Brady going to Tampa?
They down here, it was like they won the Powerball. It was like, I kind of tempered my I don't say excitement, but you just didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't. Every loss they had was magnified. So it was ESPN, man. Like I love ESPN, but God, Jesus, it's like TMZ sometimes where Brady's no good. Remember he had really bad game he had with 4 interceptions.
Yeah,
he was done. Oh, Brady's done. He sucks. He wins the Super Bowl. He walks on water. It's big because other guys have left other teams, like Franco Harris went to Seattle, Emmitt Smith went to Arizona. It always doesn't work out too well. But this, I think, New England kind of screwed up, man, because that's your meal ticket. Like I would do everything in my power to give him every weapon possible. And you see what happened when he got weapons? Godwin, all those guys, Gronk. Remember, OJ Howard didn't even play last
year. Right.
He's healthy. So you got like three good tight ends to choose from. Antonio Brown's back on a 1-year deal. The line's back. They signed their best linebacker, Shaq Barrett, is back. Antoine Winfield Jr. or the third, it was exciting to watch, but repeating, as we said, repeating in anything is difficult, especially in the National Football League. That just does not. I think the last team to repeat was the Patriots.
Yep.
Yeah.
And from a New England fan's perspective, I wish Brady the best. His last year here, last couple of years, even though they won the Super Bowl in 2018, against the Rams, his last year of 2019 was toxic. He and Bill hated each other, and it was like they were saying stuff in the press. Because I listened to sports radio during the day, and it was like, okay, this is next, and sources say, dude, they were like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, and so at that point, Bill's like, yeah, I'm getting even less weapons, and Brady's like, okay, I'm gonna suck more, because Brady got a little bit too particular. Brady's one feeling was he was never great because he's such a perfectionist with young guys. He never had time to his timing game. Like if a rookie wasn't exactly where it was, he'd throw the ball on the ground and just walk away. And I think that was to bust Bill's balls a little bit. It sucked as, from being a fan's perspective, I'm watching a great quarterback go to waste. Yeah. And I'm watching my team suck big dick. So I'm glad he gone, and I'm glad he's done well. And I think the Pats actually have a bit of a future now. So
they do. They're in good hands. They spend a lot of money on free agency. Mac Jones is there, so they're in good hands, man. They'll be back.
Yeah. Bill only needs a game manager.
That's it. You don't have to throw for 300. Mac Jones doesn't have to throw 300 yards. Do this camp.
Yeah.
Just don't no turnovers.
Yeah. Just do what I say. Go for the short, medium stuff, and we got this.
Yep.
And Brady, a friend from Spain, he asked you, if you get your pro card, which pro division would you compete in?
Listen, listen, everybody that's ever had Gainers Fuel or Mega Mass 4000 wants a pro card. We all have. We all dreamed about it. It's a goal, but it's not a make or break. My life won't be 100% better with the pro card. But if that ever happened, I would do one show, Tampa show, go all in, you know what I mean? Load up and just give it one shot and just see what the hell happen. It's just that we all have that dream, man. But sometimes, life happens and the reality is that there's some good guys, and my body now is 47, going to 48. There's some injuries. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same body as it was. You know what I mean? So and again, it's hard for me to look at myself objectively. It is like closer to the show. I'll send you some pictures for feedback. Ron, the few people I'll ask for their honest opinion, but it's just those guys are good, man. Like, listen, those guys. We always say, "Oh, there's tons of pro cards." It's not, but when you go to the hashtag Miami Nationals, those guys are phenomenal guys, man. But I think the Masters class, I think they're even better than sometimes the regular Nationals, because you got mature muscle, they got money, and they come in crazy shredded. Now you see the muscle tears and all the crazy stuff, but for those are battle wounds that we accrue over 25, 30 years. But I would definitely you have to try your shot at the 212 class just to see what happens.
Now, Brady has for me, he says, what do I hope to accomplish with my competing? Honestly, Brady, I'm not that good. Like, I'm just going to throw this out there. Like, me in a pro card, the stars would have to, like, align perfectly. And I'd have to catch I do physique. I would have to catch the giant division where everyone was off, and I'd have to be the most conditioned. So I just want to compete and then do as well as I can, because like, I know my limitations. I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, if I add more of this, more of that, like, it ain't happening. Like, I could do as much GH, Increlux. Would I be better? Yeah, but dude, I'm a tall ecto. Like I have my head wrapped around that. So I'm good with it. I just want to compete and be as good as I can, because I live this lifestyle anyway.
It's dude, the prep is hard, it sucks. But when you get to that show and you're around all those other people, got the pro tan, it's like a family kind of, you know what I mean? It's like I'm not sure so much now because everybody is just, there's so many different classes. But before, it was like you wouldn't see everybody, you wouldn't see guys in a different city until you got to a different show. But then you talk, you'd help each other, like with clothes and oil, you all go out to eat after the show. But it's a fraternity, especially old guys like us. It's a meathead fraternity, right? We've seen old shows. We know all the players in the game. But it's just something that's in us, man. Like, what else are we gonna do? Like, I'm not joining a rec basketball league. I'm not playing racquetball on Sundays. I do legs.
Yeah.
Like, I would tell Giles, I got nothing else, man. Like, I got really nothing else. This is it.
Dude, I don't have a life. And I'm not, I mean, I'm not saying like feel bad for me. Like, I eat my food, I try to go to bed at a reasonable hour.
Yeah.
With the high point of your day, training, sorry, but like that it is,
Yeah. It's like I said, we don't do much here. We, like, me and my wife, we go to the gym, come back home, watch Snap to First 48, and just, hang out. But I like that. I like I'm not saying it's boring, but I like to just being home, just chilling, get my meals in, man. Like, that's just, I'm past going to the club. You know what I mean? I'm not going to the club. I'm not going to a bar. I'm not hanging out with Timmy in Clearwater Beach. I'd be like exhausted, hanging with the old man. You know what I mean? Like, I can't hang with Timmy anymore, man. Like, I just can't.
I'm old. Get the fuck off my lawn. You know what I mean? Like,
it happens. It just happens, man. Like, listen, I had great times. I had some of the best times of my life after, in Columbus after the Arnold party and hanging out. But nowadays, if I tried that, I would die. I might not wake up the next day. And like, even missing sleep at this age, I can miss a meal, right? But if I miss my sleep, my whole day is screwed. It's just, I'm a wreck, man. It's just, father time is no joke. It just makes it amazing what Brady's doing at that age at a high level, or even what Dexter's been doing. We'll never in our lifetime see somebody do what Dexter done.
No.
Ever. I mean, nobody's gonna hang around that long to be that successful. He won the Olympia in 2008.
Yeah.
It's 2020. He retired in 2020. Like, that's just it's mind blowing to where the man like that can be that consistent, that good. And remember, he took a kind of a dip in placings. All of a sudden, here's George Farah, does well. Here's Brad Rowe, the newbie. It's amazing, man. So, like I said, this is what we do, man. This is 30 years worth of stuff that we've done, and I can't see, stopping anytime. Even being hurt, we work around it.
Dude, you find something else. Like with my elbow injuries, like I had to rethink training, and I had to get like out of my own ego.
Yeah, and it is because, dude, ego. Like my ego says that I see the 120 sitting there. I'm like, I want to go bang those off from inclines. But like the reality is like, don't be stupid. Rip your shoulder out, blow your elbow out. But you do miss that. I miss those heavy deadlifts and squats, and you know what I mean. Just that crazy weight sometimes. But I know that crazy weight will lead to a crazy time in the ER. So
yeah, like I've come to grips with it, and people are like, oh yeah, pussy. My squatting days are done.
I'm great with that, man. I do drop sets.
Well, there's leg presses and there's a belt squat machine.
There you go.
The belt squat machine, I can't get back up. Fine. That doesn't mean I'm gonna be choked to death, have my back snapped by a barbell. I just sit on the ground, eat my pride, and unhook the belt. Straighten out my knee. But if my knee turns around again while I'm squatting, I'm not gonna.
No, because I remember being a kid, like thinking, man, I don't care if I die early. It's when I have a big coffin. I'm like, life is pretty good, man. This ain't too bad. You know what I mean? But again, it comes out for me too. It comes out like the health because you got high blood pressure, so I'm very cognizant of that about what I do and how I approach things. Now, I'm not getting up to 250 again ever again in the off season. Like that was just dumb. Like this year, I think I only got to 230, which was. I put my socks on, cut my toenails. I'm good. You know what I mean? So it's just you got to manage expectations as you age.
I actually, over the past year, because cholesterol, high blood pressure has been an issue for me, I went and sent my bloods to a guy in the industry who does this, and he gave me a bunch of stuff. I don't mean drugs. I'm talking supplements, natural stuff to alleviate everything.
You have to. You have to be ahead of that now. You don't think about that at 25, 26 years old.
No.
Like, no, you think about anadrol. You know what I mean? But like now, it's just I got one heart. I got 2 kidneys and a liver. I like having them. You know what I mean? So you kind of got to like watch how far you push. You know what I mean? But just be careful. Just think. You know what I mean? A little bit goes a long way. Trust me. I mean, it does.
Yeah, I mean, my days are popping freaking 2 A-bombs a day.
Yeah.
And getting nosebleeds and thinking it was funny a long past me. You know what I mean?
That was you wanted that, man. Like, just the night sweats and breathing heavy and walking to a club with a tight shirt on. And, no, I'm good. When we get done with this, I'm gonna go like eat a meal and wife and watch Snapped marathon.
The nosebleeds and the getting up from the dip machine and getting the dizzy. It means it's working.
Oh, that's so true, man. Good times. Life's been good, right?
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching the second episode of Goon and Cox Muscle Talk. Next week we will have a guest, and we will reveal that via social media. And thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it, Chris. Much appreciated, bro.
All right.